Hello and welcome to the Ministry of Miniatures, and today we've got a very special video. We are doing Bolt Action Boot Camp and Back to Basics, and today I am going to show you how I create my tables and how we get to have a village or a hamlet in Normandy or in Italy just like this. So have a look, stay tuned. I'm going to go through some different mats that are available, how to get the terrain, different options available, and how you can create something very similar to this, along with hills, trees, hedges, and of course, roads and bushes. So stay tuned and let's go through what you might be able to do with different mats and how I create this. Okay, so before we get there, let's have a look. This is the table we normally work from. I put a 6x4 board on it, but as you can see, this is we're quite fortunate enough in our kitchen to have a nice large table. So this is a 7-foot table by just under 4 foot wide. So before I do the setup that I would ordinarily do, let's have a look what cheaper and beginners alternatives there are. So first things first, let's clear the table. So there we go. The table's cleared, the chairs are moved out the way. Those people that are starting out, actually, probably the first thing you want to do, yes, you could probably do a battle report and play straight onto a table, but if money's tight and you're just getting started, you could use a tablecloth. So my first recommendation is when you're first starting out, just get yourself an old tablecloth and you can use that. As you can see, if I ironed this straight away, I would quite happily use that as a desert mat. Cheap, easy, and ready to use in the house. But actually, if you want to do better than that, let's have a look at some different mats available. Okay, so looking at the different mats available, first one up is vinyl mats. The benefits of vinyl mats are they're quick and easy to use. As you see here, they're printed with a road. They're much cheaper to use, but some of the not so good is the fact that the ends, you can see, curl up. So it's sometimes difficult to get these straight, and so I only went for this mat because I can use it with buildings on it, will cover it up. The second issue I have is with the glare. So as you can see, the glare from the windows and the light outside is quite strong. It's not so bad if I come around and put the light behind, which is why I often film from this side. As you see there, it does take some of the light away. So if you want cheap, affordable, good use mats, vinyl is definitely the way to go. And this mat here is by Deep Cut Studio, and it's got the town setting on it, so very nice to use straight off the bat and for any urban situation you're going to be doing a village. Let's have a look at the next mat. So next up is another Deep Cut Studio mat, and this time it's the grass plains, and as you can see there's lots of detail on it. This is one of the mouse mats. And what's really good about these is they lay flat. You can roll them straight out. There's no creases. The reflection, the glare from the light is really minimal. They're a bit more expensive, but they work really well. And by the time you put roads, rivers, trees, anything on it, actually these look very nice and very easy to do. These are one-sided, but what has come into play are double-sided mats. So let's have a look at this mat by Gale Force 9. There we go. This is a mat by Gale Force 9. The detail on it is very good as well. As you can see here, there's some muddy patches, which is quite good if you want a bit more arid. There are some creases in it. It came folded up and they've taken a long time to come out. So I'm hoping over time they will. We've started using this one for battle reports. The light has left where the creases you can see down here. But once those creases drop out, it'd be very good. But the amazing thing is this is double-sided. So not only can we use this for the Russian steppes or for somewhere that needs a bit more mud, I'm also going to use this one for parts of Stalingrad and for the fall of Berlin. So as you can see, it's got tram lines on it, which will be amazing for Berlin. And I'm going to put the Reichstag on this side, and then as you can see, there's building blocks and roads. So this comes all ready to use. So let's lay that out and see what that looks like. So there we go, the Gale Force 9 city map. Very nice detail on it, lots of ruins. It's very modern, it's got tram lines on it, but for Berlin, this is going to be absolutely amazing. We have used it and we are going to use it for some Stalingrad battles, so keep an eye out for those on the channel. But this is going to be a very nice battle to do, especially if I put the Reichstag on this side with a little water fountain and debris around the Reichstag, buildings, trams. This is going to make for a nice finale to our Operation Barbarossa campaign. But what I wanted to do is let's get the Geek Villain mat out and let's show you how I would go around building my own table. So here we go. This is a Geek Villain fleece mat. It again is highly detailed. It's slightly oversized, so the overhang is a bit more shown in here. The fleecing is stitched around the edges, so it's a nice, good quality fleece. There's slight creasings in it, but once you've laid it down, they come out. Now, the benefit of this mat is that actually you can put stuff underneath it. So as you saw earlier, when I cleared the table, you can use coasters underneath quite easily to become hills. So let's put some under and see what it looks like. So depending on what you want to do, you can just lift up the corners, put some mats down. These are just placemats. And suddenly you've got a raised area. And depending on how high you want to go, you could put several underneath. And I generally try to make it so that, as you can just see here, there is a slight rise where I've just put the mat underneath. And you can build this up as high as you want. So let's put some books down this end and see what that looks like. And so here we go. On this side, I've put a box underneath and you can see the mat takes it brilliantly. It's very slight incline, very minimal creases on this side. But if I just straighten them out with my hand, it clears them off. And that then becomes a very nice hill. So you can quite easily put stuff underneath the mat and turn it into slight inclines like I have here. So there we go. Once I've got the hills in place, what I then generally tend to do is look at what I'm going to do for roads, rivers, etc., etc. Because I'm doing this as quite dry, I don't want to have any rivers on it, but I'm going to have a road that's going to run through the middle and separate. So next thing I would do is put a road in. I generally tend not to put them straight across the middle or straight up the middle, because most games with vehicles, you don't want the vehicles zooming up the road, but also having it going a diagonal just makes the map or the terrain just stand out a bit. So let's put some roads on and see what that looks like. So these are the roads I use on our battle reports. These are by Fat Frank. They are flexible roads. They're perfect for a Bolt Action vehicle to go on, but because they look like tracks, they can pretty much be used for any period whatsoever. So you can see there's even lines on the roads, so that could be from wagons or carts. So all I generally tend to do is start laying the roads out and try to work out what it might look like when we're actually building it. Because, as I say, a couple of things we want to do is make sure that we have equal buildings to make it fair, and that it's not too one-sided and that one side doesn't have more road than the other. So we always try to keep it balanced as possible. So let's get the road set up and have a look at what that looks like. So there we go. I've put the roads out, and as you can see, it's just a bit wobbly. It gives us a center focus for the battle. So if we have a crossroads to take or here a junction to take, I can then put my buildings around it. So there we go. We've got some hills in place, we've got the mat over it, and we've also got a road. So let's start putting some buildings on to build the terrain. And I use all sorts of buildings. So let's get a selection and put them out, and I'll talk through them. So first up is this piece of terrain. This building is by Micro Art Studios. It has different floors. The inside is rendered. It's all pre-painted. These are becoming quite popular at the moment. We've got several. The good thing about it is once you've built it, it's all painted. They're easy to use. They're quite solid. And actually they look pretty good on the table. So that is Micro Art Studio. So what I generally tend to do is start laying the buildings out around the center and just spreading out to try and get some balance. So let's get another of the Micro Art Studio out. So this set comes with a chicken coop, which just goes with the building there. You can also get a garage, which is also very nice, and inside is pre-painted, so they're very nice. Okay, so that's the stone brick garage, but what you can also get is there's loads of these different buildings. So we've got most of them now just because they're easy to build, easy to put together, and they do look very good on the table. So this is a car repair garage. You get petrol gauges, so you can have pumps to fill up your fuel if you so wish to have that. There's a little shed inside, but quite a nice little building with doors that open as well, so actually it's fully playable. So what I generally tend to do is just start putting the buildings around the center so I can move them out. But let's get a different manufacturer out. So next up is the Italiari church. Very nice. I've done a video on this where I've challenged Rick to paint it, and this is his attempt at painting it, and it does look very nice. There's some really cool details. So when I post the video up, you can have a look at that and see what a fantastic job he's done. Now I have seen people use sand, so if you wanted to put paths down you could do, but actually I'm quite happy most of the time to leave it like that. So we've got a church on the hill, small village in the middle. Well, let's get something else to go with it. So these are warlord ruins. They're really easy to put together, really easy to paint. They're modular. I've done some a manor house and a rectory for my winter board, so these can be put together quite nicely to form bigger buildings. I generally tend to put them on the back of a placemat, so it's got a similar shape to the church here, but again they can just be put anywhere you want on your battlefield, just so it looks like you've got some ruins, if that's how you want to have your battlefield looking. So one of the other manufacturers that we use quite a lot is Sarissa Precision. I'm not going to show you one of their buildings here because Rick's got those at the moment, but I am working on, and I will show a video of the tractor factory that has, it's all Sarissa, and it's going to be the centerpiece for our tractor factory Stalingrad assault. But you can buy stuff cheap off the internet as well. This is from a guy called John Banks. I've just basically just painted it and rendered it just to make it look like it fits in, and then all I start to do is just kind of move stuff around to try and get the feel for what it might look like when you're setting a board up. So once you're happy with where you have the buildings, this is just a real basic setup. The next thing I generally tend to do is look at where we're going to put hedges, etc., etc. But one really, really cheap and easy thing to do is wheat fields. So this is just a cheap doormat from IKEA. It's been sliced into 2 or 3 parts. You can see it's got a bit of a shape to it. And these allow us just to put wheat fields by the sides of roads, or on the side of the board like this. So it just offers the map to look like it is a farm area. But generally I don't like using those on their own, because what I do like to do is actually just soften them up a bit. Now there's a couple of options. So one thing I like to do is I've got a big bag of this stuff, which is lichen. So as you can see here, there's plenty of it. I've got some winter ones as well, which are white. And we've got several choices here. So what I generally tend to do is to make it look like we have a proper field and we don't have these edges exposed, is I just put the lichen around the edge. And that then makes it look as though it is a field with hedges, which just adds to the look of it. Quick and easy, really, really simple to do. And then what I do is, just to tie that in, I just break some bits off. I've got a bag of broken bits and I just flick them around, put some bits next to the road. And as you can see, I just drop small bits scattered around the table. And these just help break the colour up and makes it just stand out a bit. And then, as I say, some bits on the road will have small hedges and that helps the look of it. But what we also do is, quite fortunately, George in our group scratch builds terrain. So one of the things he has done are these amazing hedges that he's created. So these generally are for 15mm, but we can get away with them for here because instead of them being bocage, we just use them as normal hedges, and straight away it just adds some depth and character to the buildings and the battle mat. And then again, he's got scratch built trees that go with it entirely. So let's put some more of those out and then see how that impacts on the field. So there we go, adding those bits of hedges along the road has suddenly turned it into some quite obvious roads into a nice little village. And as you can see here on the wheat fields, I've just surrounded those with the hedge and it just makes them really look like proper fields. So there we go, our little hamlet is coming together quite nicely. So what else do I do? So quite often we don't want to have lots and lots of hedges. I've got plenty on here. So what about putting some fences on? So let's get some fences up, put those down and see what they look like. Okay, so with fences, you can use pretty much anything you've got here. Some of the old Games Workshop ones, they come with skulls and all sorts of stuff on it, but they can be quick and easy to use if you just wanted a nice bit of fencing across. I bought these cheap off the internet, off of eBay. So again, these could be used very, very effectively, very, very quick and easy. And before you know it, you've got a paddock or two. They are cheap and easy to use. And as I say, I just got those off the internet. I also use quite often, I use these Renedra ones. So all I've done is I've just put them together onto lollipop or tongue depressors. And actually with a quick dry brush and a wash, they came out very nicely. So again, just putting those down, it's quick and easy to turn that area into a fenced area with some quite nice effective fences. But you don't have to spend loads of money. You don't have to spend lots of time doing it. If you wanted to, when we first started out, this is horsehair. You can get it really cheap off of eBay. And all this person's done is just cut them up into strips, stuck them on a piece of wood and sprayed it green. And actually, if you think about the 3-foot rule, everything is viewable from 3 feet away when you're on the table. If you wanted to use these, they're super quick, super easy and super cheap. It gets you a nice big hedge line. So one of the other things I have done is I created a broken down fence. I've got several of these. So they're Renedra fences. I've cut them off and then just used coffee stirrers when I was building them. And then as you can see, it looks like they've either been smashed or a tank or a vehicle's gone through them. So quite easily, if a vehicle or a tank went through that, I can replace it. And suddenly you've got a broken fence. So that kind of helps just with making the table playable. So I quite like to put craters. If a mortar's hit, it's blown up somewhere, or a cannon, where that hit has been, I'll leave a crater because I think that just adds to the aesthetics of when you're building and you're playing. Just it leaves a crater and a mark from where the shell has hit. And then lastly, I kind of add eye candy bits. So this is a telegraph pole, and all it is a 25mm base, plastic with a coin underneath to give it weight, a chopstick, or I think this is like a scented stick, a matchstick on top, and then I had an old chess piece. It's like a travel chess piece, and I just cut all the bits that stick into the base of the chess piece, and I just stuck them on top. So actually, very quick and easy, I can put a set of these telegraph poles on the battlefield, and we quite often use these. You can buy sets online, but there you go, with 4 chopsticks, 4 matchsticks, and an old travel chess set. We've now got telegraph lines running through the village. So one of the things that I think really make tables are just the extra bits, like these fuel pumps, or you can get lights. So here, if you wanted a street lamp, you can put that on. We often have water fountains and things like that. Just those little bits just help with the extra detail. Or if you wanted, for example, check hedgehogs. So these I made myself. They're just spacers for tiles. You can see there quite clearly a spacer for a tile. I've just chopped them up, put them together, painted them brown, put some orange on it, and before you know it, it's a rusty old check hedgehog. And that can go in the middle of your road just to stop vehicles from zooming up and down at will, whoever he is. There you go, and before you know it, you've got a nice road block. So some of the other things I've made is a coal bunker. So this is just a piece of MDF. I've got some leftover doors from some of the old kits I've bought online from eBay. Shovel from, I think this is the 8th Army kit, and then I've just put some old bits of cork ground up, painted them black, and then suddenly you've got a coal bunker, and actually that can be stuck at the side of a building, make it look very nice. I did exactly the same with a wheat field. So you see old bits of wood, I've just put some washes on them, a bit of grass around the outside, and this is just bits of the mat put together on there. So if I wanted to, I've suddenly got next to the stables where they muck out. So there we go, quick and easy how to put a table together, with some small tips on how to get started. But that's pretty much how we build our tables and decide on what it looks like. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what battles you want to see in the future. And if there's any of the details around Bolt Acttion you want us to cover, then please let us know. But thank you for watching, and see you all again soon.